To get started with the G11, let me show you some of the features on the outside of the camera. Here you have the shutter button with the zoom lever. Push the zoom lever to the left in order to zoom out or back farther away from your subject, and pull it to the right in order to zoom into your subject or closer to your subject. This is the mode dial. Here is the ISO dial beneath that. This is your exposure compensation dial. Be careful with this. Make sure it's properly set before taking your picture, because sometimes the dial can get bumped when pulling the camera out of a bag. For most pictures, I like setting the mode dial to P. This stands for program, and it allows me to access all the functions I need. I'll set the ISO to 80 because I'm assuming most of the pictures I take are going to be outdoors and there's plenty of light. And I'll keep my exposure compensation set to 0. The camera has a hot shoe for an external flash, and it's a great investment if you take a lot of pictures using the flash. The built-in flash is okay, but like most cameras, it's not very powerful. It's good for about 10 feet, and it's a very hard light. So again, if you take a lot of flash pictures, you'll be better off with an external flash. On the bottom you have your tripod mount, and here is the battery and memory card door. Just press down and push out to open the door. Here's the memory card, and this is the battery. To remove the battery, just slide this locking mechanism over and the battery will pop out. This is a lithium-ion battery that lasts a very long time. You can probably go a full weekend of shooting without having to recharge the battery. Use the battery to push the locking mechanism over when replacing the battery in the camera. Push it all the way in until the locking mechanism locks it in place. To remove the memory card, just press it in. You hear a click, and then you can release and then pull out the memory card. This camera uses an SD memory card. The only thing you need to remember when inserting the memory card is that the contact points are towards the back of the camera, or the face, the front of the card, is towards the front of the camera. There's a little diagram right here to help you remember. Press it in all the way until you hear a click, and then release, and the card should stay in place. Press the door firmly against the body of the camera and lock it back into place. The camera has a pretty good size LCD screen. Just open it up like this. This is a very handy feature. A lot of times when I'm taking pictures and the camera needs to be low to the ground, I'll tilt the LCD screen this way so I can have it down closer to the ground and I don't have to break my back. Likewise, I'll tilt it up in this direction so I can have the camera over my head and I can just look up at the LCD screen. But most of the time, I'll flip it in this direction and flip the LCD back so it's like any other camera. Turn the camera on by pressing the on-off button right up here. The camera has two menus. One is a function menu, which you can access by pressing the function button right here in the center. The other is a main menu, which you can access by pressing the menu button right here. The difference between the two menus is very simple. The function menu hosts a list of functions that you most frequently need to change when taking pictures. The main menu hosts all the other camera functions, and mostly you'll just need to access it one time to have it set up, and then you're fine. Press the function button to access the function menu. At the top you have white balance. This is very important to set with every picture. I recommend moving over to daylight for just about all pictures outdoors. If you're indoors, set this to either tungsten or fluorescent. All the other settings by default are set up just fine. So go ahead and press the function button to escape the function menu. Press the menu button now to access the main menu. In order to navigate the main menu, go ahead and press the up or down navigation buttons to move the highlighted field down the list of items. You can also use the control dial. It might be a little bit faster. I'll go down to digital zoom, which by default is set to standard. This is not good. I don't want to use the digital zoom by any means. So I'll move over to the right in order to turn it off. Keep going down until you get to flash control. Go ahead and press the set button or the right navigation button to enter the flash control menu item. There are two things I want to set here, the red eye lamp and the safety flash exposure. Go ahead and go down until you get to red eye lamp and turn this off. With my experience, the red eye lamp doesn't do very much to reduce red eye, so I prefer it being off. Go down to safety flash exposure and turn that off as well. I prefer the flash exposure to be set the way I set it, not the way the camera thinks it needs to be set. Press menu to go back to the main menu. Keep going down the menu items until you get to IS mode. This stands for image stabilization mode. By default, it's set to continuous. This means as long as the camera is turned on, the image stabilization is always on. And this can use up the battery a lot faster than if it wasn't on. What I like is moving over to shoot only. What this means is that the image stabilization is only activated when the shutter button is pressed halfway. Keep going down until you get to Set Shortcut button. This can be very important. The shortcut button is located right up here, and you can set this to be one of many things. Press the right navigation button to enter the menu item. I'm going to choose Red Eye Correction. What this means is that I can press the shortcut button at any time when I'm taking pictures to quickly turn on or turn off the red eye correction. This is much better than the red eye lamp I turned off earlier. Press Set to accept this and go back to the main menu. Now that I'm at the very bottom of this menu, I want to go back up to the Setup menu, the Tools tab right here. What I can do is just go down and come back up to the Record tab. I can go all the way up and over to the Record tab, or I can just use my zoom lever in order to move over. I'll just pull it to the right, and the Setup tab is selected. Now I want to go down to Volume. Press the right navigation button or Set to access this menu item. I don't need the camera to make a sound every time it turns on, so I'll turn this off. I also don't want the camera to make a sound every time I press a button, so I'll turn this off as well. Go ahead and press Menu to go back. Keep going down to Hints and Tips. I prefer this being off. Keep going down to Startup Image. This too, I prefer this be off. Press Menu to go back and keep going down. If you just purchased the camera and you're turning it on for the first time, the camera will automatically tell you you need to set the date and time. This is very important for image organizing applications such as Photoshop Album or iPhoto. Press the Set button to access the date and time. Use the up and down navigation buttons to change the value of a field, and use the right or left navigation buttons to move the highlighted field over. So if it's May, I'll keep that on 5. I'll move over to the day, and I'll move this down to 11. I'll move over to the year, and I'll move this down to 2009. And I can keep moving over, setting each field the way it needs to be set up. Once the date and time has been properly set, go ahead and press Set to OK. I'm going to press Menu to cancel because I don't want to save these changes. If you go all the way down to the bottom of this menu, you'll get to Reset All. If at any time the camera is not acting properly or in a way that it should be, go ahead and reset all the menu items back to their default setting. Once your main menu is set, you can go ahead and press the menu button to escape the main menu. Now the camera is properly set up and I can start taking pictures.